Hello again, Ecotopians. Today we will be talking about specific communities in Ecotopia, this time without the little picture of me yammering away because it's a Saturday and I'm haven't shaven and I'm still in my pajamas while I shoot the video. So let's take it away. There is a lot of stuff for you to do this week, and the reason is because I love this stuff and it's good stuff and it's important, and I hope you enjoy it. I think you will. It's a little bit different and more entertaining, I think, than the previous weeks in some ways. Here's the deal. You have, in the previous presentations, learned a lot already about the theory of community ecology, but now it's time to learn something about the specific communities that occur in Ecotopia, in the redwood ecosystems, or wherever you happen to live on the planet. It's great to know theory, and it's also great to know what's in your own backyard and have personal experience with things. And so if you refer to our words for today, I'm opening this up for you to see, and I just wanted to say that this time what I've done, because there's a lot of extra material this week, I wanted to show you the sources of information about these words. So this current video is the overview of communities in Ecotopia. And then I will have a Mad River and Mad River Beach presentation, and then there's some other videos, one by Steve Sillette and one just gorgeous on how they took these amazing photographs of ancient trees. And then there's some reading too. It's a fact sheet from the Redwood National and State Parks. So there's some reading in there that gives you specific information about communities. So also listed here are the specific communities that you need to know for this class, and I'm going to quickly show you them using Google Earth in a moment, but I'll just list them for you now. The human community, so we are part of the planet, and what have we done to it? Well, we've made urban, suburban, and industrial areas, and we have also covered a lot of the earth with agriculture. In redwood ecosystems, surprisingly enough, you find prairie, and we have riparian. Now, I'm going to go over this lightly this week, but next week there's going to be a whole video shot from Jolly Giant Creek, which flows right through above and below Humboldt State University. Then there's the coastal strand. So since the redwoods pretty much follow the coast, they go inland a little ways, but they do follow the west coast of North America. It turns out that the coastal strand, which includes the beach and the sand dunes and the associated communities behind it, are part of our ecosystem. So I have shot a video for that. And of course we have the redwood forest. And I wanted to distinguish between two different kinds of redwood forest. The first is primary forest. Now, this is kind of a contentious word. There's old forests for sure, and there are forests that have never been logged. Yes. There are also forests that have been logged but then haven't been touched since they were logged, which could have been over 100 years by now, maybe 150 years. And so the question is, do these forests that have been logged and grown back, do they have the same characteristics as a forest that has never been logged? And if so, what words do we use to refer to them? So unfortunately, you can dig into this and get confused pretty quickly because there are a lot of words. What I want to do is talk about forests that have never been logged. And I will try to use the term primary forest, but I may sometimes forget and talk about a virgin redwood or a primeval or an ancient redwood forest. Okay, but for this class, when I say primary, it means never been logged. Secondary is a forest that has been logged. And there's a lot of diversity among secondary forests. Some may be very old, some maybe were clear cut last year and have no characteristics at all. So in doing the research for this, I came upon a fantastic reference that I'll try to post someplace on our website. It's called The Redwood Forest, and it's by Reed Noss, N-O-S-S, and it was published by the Save the Redwoods League. And it really is a definitive textbook on the characteristics of redwood forests. It's a little bit over the top academic scientific for this course, which is why I haven't assigned it to you guys. But if you wanted to dig deeper, this is a good place to start. And as I was doing my research, I wanted to look into the definition of old growth forest, and I found 3 pages that quickly convinced me that this is a bigger topic than Ecotopia can handle. So that's fine, because what you guys are going to do is rather than study this from a deeply scientific point of view, you are going to study it from a deeply personal point of view. You are going to go to a primary redwood forest. You're going to go into it for an assignment. You're going to hike in it. You're going to journal and photograph it. That's for those of you who live in redwood country. For those of you who are not in redwood country, you will be contacting me by email for an alternative assignment. Okay, so those are the habitats, and then underneath here I've just got the words, and these words are derived from all the references I've already given you. Make sure you know at least a little bit about them so you can recognize them and recall them for exams. Okay. I'm now just going to switch over to Google Earth, and we'll quickly look at these different communities: human, prairie, riparian, coastal strand, redwood forest. Okay, so let's go into our area. Let me turn some of these guys off, make it nice and clean. Let's go to Redwood Bowl. Okay, here we go into Arcata's Redwood Bowl. But I'm going to stop before we get there, because I wanted to talk about the human. Let me get this upright. The human communities, first of all. So what do humans do? Well, let's just kind of random. Stop that. There. Pick Fortuna, because Fortuna's really got a. So does Arcata. So does Eureka. We have a very good diversity of human communities. So the first thing that humans do when they come into an area is they build a house. So here in residential neighborhoods, and you can see, well, maybe the first thing they do is build a road. That's probably what humans do. And then along the roads, they start living. And so we have places that have been heavily impacted by humans. Clearly, they have houses, they have front yards and driveways, they have road. That's all not natural habitat anymore, but it is real habitat. There are things that live here. Certainly there is landscaped areas. People like to plant things, and so there's all kinds of species that live there. But there's some species that can survive human impact, some natural native species that come in. Dandelions, cockroaches, fleas, fruit flies, house flies, mice, rats, raccoons, skunks, deer, bobcats, even there's wildcats and bears sometimes that wander around human habitats. So there's a lot of species that live here that we don't pay much attention to, but they are part of our community. So I've talked about urban community, and darn it, yes, you walk down, I don't care, Manhattan, whatever, Broadway in New York, and you look in the cracks in the sidewalk, you will see species volunteering there. So non-human species, wild things growing there. So there's the urban habitat. Then there's whatever suburban is. I guess it would be out here, and industrial areas too. I wanted to include those as communities. So you walk around your house and from work and so forth, and you are passing species, and you should pay attention to them. They're doing the equation of life on Earth just like species anywhere else is. Well, all these people eat a lot of food, and that food comes from agriculture, most of it. And so let's just take a look at agricultural landscapes. Okay, it's gorgeous, it's beautiful, it's green, but don't confuse it with a natural landscape. It's a completely man-made landscape. But in this man-made landscape, we have a lot of species. Actually, probably if you counted up the number of species that you could pick up and carry, there would be fewer species in an area like this than you would get in an urban or suburban environment because of the activities of farmers, their ecological disturbance that they are continuously doing so that they can grow their crops or their animals. However, okay, so this is agricultural landscape, and there's a great diversity of agricultural landscapes, from the gigantic monocrops you can find in the Central Valley of California or the Great Plains to smaller, more diverse farms, such as, let me show you one of my favorites out in by Blue Lake. My friend Ed is farming out here right on the edge of Blue Lake. He's got a quite diverse farm right here, lots of different rows surrounded by different kinds of habitat right on the edge of the forest and rivers. There's Corbell. Okay, so that covers the human community. The next community, let's see, what was it? It was prairie. Okay, so let's, you wouldn't think that prairies would be part of redwood ecosystems, but they are, and I'll show you a few. In fact, I think I already have shown you Prairie Creek redwoods. Let's see. Okay, Oric is here. This is Oric, and just north of Oric is one of the heart of Prairie Creek redwoods. And I have previously shown you this little elk prairie that they have right by park headquarters. This is, as I indicated before, maintained by the activities of humans. If you go up into the nearby hills, let's see if I can get this right. I'm not sure if I'm totally in the right place, but if you go up into the hills up above Prairie Creek redwoods, these actually look like logged out areas. Uh-oh. Hold on, let me get oriented. Okay, look for the brown. Okay. As you get higher in the mountains, you leave redwood habitat, and it gets, the soils get too thin, it gets too dry to support redwoods or even other trees, and so we get basically grasslands up here. And on the edge of the grasslands you might find oak trees, a little bit of oak savanna here too. So this is, in the absence of human activities, this would probably be here, but my guess is that these prairie balds, they call them, are probably also maintained in part by human activities, in specific the burning of them, periodic burning, once upon a time by Native Americans to keep them open, and currently by the National Park Service. When they can figure out how to do it, they will actually do controlled burns in this area. So surprise, surprise, there are prairies in redwood country. And of course, if you go farther south and take a kind of a broad view of Ecotopia and redwood ecosystems and include much of the Coast Range, you find this kind of habitat with lots of oak savannas and grasslands all around. All you have to do is drive to Garberville and look to the east, and you see plenty of this kind of prairie habitat. Okay, so it's kind of cool. Check it out, and also read about it in the National and State Park reading that I've made available to you. They will explain it probably better than I am. Okay, we'll now look at quickly riparian, coastal strand, and redwood forests. And riparian communities are those that follow waterways. So probably you have walked along a creek because very often trails and roads follow waterways. It's just an easy way to go. And as you go there, you will see, as you get right down to it, you'll find a different kind of assemblage of species growing right along the riverbank than you will a little bit away from it. So some of the tree species that you'll find in riparian habitat would be alder is a very good one, willow too. These are very rapid growing, just really successful water-loving trees. A bunch of grasses and other herbs and lots of other distinctive species. I won't go too much into detail there because next week I will make a video for you that is going to show you riparian habitat at Jolly Giant Creek. So, which, as you probably know, runs right behind Humboldt State University. Okay, it goes up in the hills up here, and that's its headwaters, and then it comes down, and then it is buried more or less by humanity. And I have something to tell you about that next week. So that's riparian habitat. Then we've got coastal strand. Just briefly, of course, that would be the beach. And it's really fascinating. I hope you have visited the beach. I do frequently. It's just a great place to go. It's one of our treasures here on the North Coast. It's highly accessible from Arcata. It's a great place to go. It is dangerous, but it has some pretty unique habitats. Yes, of course, the beach. You all know the beach. But just inland from the beach, we have dunes begin. We have a fore dune, and then a deflation plain, and then some hind dunes. And you can see that we have forest in this area, green stuff. So we have succession occurring. We have a very dynamic environment that is highly disturbed by the waves and the winds that come in, and also human activities. You can see the roads. And we have succession that plants that in the absence of disturbance start covering the dunes and do strange and wonderful things. So I will have more to say about that in a video this week, so check it out. Lastly, of course, we have the redwood forest. I've mentioned primary and secondary before, and if you know what to look for, you can easily find secondary forest. Here is that patchwork quilt of clear cuts and see second growth forest and third growth forest and whatever they're on. This is probably green diamond timber lands, and they cut on a 30 to 40 year rotation. So no forest in this area, or very little forest in this area, is older than 30 or 40 years. You will also see, because of that habitat, the network of riparian zones, because they are by law not allowed to log right down to the creeks, so they leave it behind, and so you can actually see this network of riparian creeks that come throughout this area. I'm glad they don't do that, because that protects habitat to a large extent. If this riparian area were logged, we would have terrible siltation problems. We have terrible siltation problems, but it would be much worse if the riparian areas were not protected. So on the edge of private lands, you find public land. In this case, probably Redwood National Park. You can see it seems not to have been logged recently, although it's possible that some of these areas were logged in the past and are now recovering, because the park, when it was formed, purchased a cutover land to a certain extent. But if you look around, eventually you will come to never before primary, primeval, virgin redwood groves. And without saying much more about its characteristics, well, I'll say two things about its characteristics. I'll say spotted owls and marbled murrelets. These are species that depend upon this kind of forest to live, and they're practically extinct because 95% of redwood old growth, or primary forest, has been lost, was cut. So their habitat is greatly diminished to the point where the two species have nearly gone extinct, and they are on the Endangered Species Act. They're listed under the Endangered Species Act. Anyway, you will be going here, you'll be looking at these, and you may wonder, well, what? I have to go here? Yes, you do. You don't have to go here. Where do you have to go? I have linked, let's see, on our website, I have put a link called the best website for finding great hikes in ancient forest. And if you click on it, it takes you to this website, which, let's see, can I make this bigger? Yeah, Redwood Hikes, a guide to old growth coast redwood trails. I think when you click on the link, it opens up right in the middle. So just go back up to the top, and you see a map, find out where you live, and start clicking on the stuff that's near to you. And so if you click on Prairie Creek Redwood State Park, it takes you to this link, and it has trails. Oh, you can look all over the map and find out information about how about the Osagon Trail. Click on it, and it has information on that trail, how many miles, how much elevation, where it is, and so on and so forth. It is a fantastic website. Please use it. I strongly recommend that you use it to plan your trip for your assignment. Okay, am I done? I think I am done. Okay, so specific communities in redwood ecosystems. Okay, I know you can't wait to get out there, and I cannot wait to read what you write and journal and see your photographs from your redwood forests. Okay, take care.